see a Jag here on the left, and this mysterious Indy Polaris on the right. And then Mark's going to go through and tell you the skinny on that sled.
So we went to Wausau last weekend? Yeah, last weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were in Wausau. Right behind us, terrible weekend, by the way, but right behind us there's a trailer full of sleds. And this is the one that kind of caught my eye, and then there's also a Enticer 340 that I picked up with this one as a package deal. But the old man was not there. I had to call his phone number and he came over. I definitely had to haggle the old guy. He wanted quite a bit, but I mean it's got its issues. But he had that little bottle of Lysol sitting right there. So
yeah.
It was a good sign that maybe there was some fuel in that, and this thing would come to life.
Right.
And no kidding, the guy popped the hood and we squirted one down each of its carbs, and it popped right to life. So I was sold.
And what is it? I mean, we didn't tell him. What is it, buddy?
It is a GREASY 1984
Yep.
Polaris Indy 600 triple.
The original GREASY triples.
VOE.
The old tack with the old 3-cylinder. She's got 6,800 clicks on it.
Yeah, she's got some tuning.
The master cylinder still works.
Does it?
Yeah, the puck's moving. Yeah, it's moving. Yep.
Ooh, that's fancy.
So anyways, guys, it basically, you can tell it's been sitting outside.
Oh yeah.
It's got a lot of sun fading.
Never seen the indoors really until today.
But the windshield's mint. Still mint, that 80s windshield. And the seat is intact, but definitely it might be crunchy.
It's crispy. It's crispy.
Today, guys, we're basically going to take the carburetors off, clean them, and then go through the fuel system. Oh, she's crispy.
But it's there.
So we'll go through the fuel system. That includes fuel lines, carburetors, look at the pickup line in the tank, clean up the tank, etc. So we'll try to keep you guys updated along the way. We already know it runs. We'll do a compression test while the carburetors are off, because then it'll be simulating wide open throttle. And then just to see what the balance is like. We know it runs, and the only other issue that we saw, we'll get the hood open, is the exhaust pipe is, it's not completely bagged out, but
It's got a
yeah,
that was my buyer's
that's not good.
bargain.
So
right there.
what we could do, guys, is one of our theories is if we get this thing going, get a set of triple pipes for it. Or find just another stock pipe or something. Or try to weld it.
I can even cut that out and weld
Patch it.
Weld a patch on it.
But
just because there is still meat around.
You can see the old 600 GREASY triple, boys. A couple bees nests in there. A Le Mans belt. That's how you know it's been sitting for a long time, because they don't even make Le Mans belts anymore, guys. So what we're going to do is get the fuel lines all removed. Start working on the tank, basically peeling back these snaps and trying to get that stretched out, sun-faded cover off that tank. And we already know the contents.
Oh yeah, they're
absolutely ill. I don't have my flashlight on me, guys. I'll probably go get my pen light out of my car, but it is ill. So I'll let you guys know what we find as we dig into this thing. Getting that tank removed, we had to take the oil injection bottle loose, take the spring clamp off the tank, which is located right down here. Disconnect, obviously, the main outgoing fuel line, and then you lift up in the front, and then it hops out of its slot, which I'll show you in the back, and then Mark's just kind of, I haven't got it out quite yet, but we're close. And there it is.
Yuck, disgusting.
And there's the little latch kind of lip that it sits in.
You sick! Oh, God, it's all over my raccoon wound. This shirt's destroyed, smell it.
Oh my God. We need to get our drain pan. We gotta get the drain pan, boys.
We need to see what color this is.
We need to see what sick shit is sitting in that tank. How long do you think you said it was sitting for? Did you say?
No, the field.
The field. We'll let you guys guess how much we paid for it. Oh!
She's green.
But it's not black, though. Usually like dirt. You're gonna dump it out the top of the spout, maybe it would be better. Oh, it looks like antifreeze.
Oh, damn, it stinks. I hope put so much fuel in it before they parked in the woods. God, we're full.
Holy crap, guys. Honestly, though, cleanup's not gonna be that bad. It's not mud. Unless there's mud in it.
I got an idea.
What are the odds there's mud in it?
I got an idea. can't get all the gas out, fire will take care of it.
Don't try this at home, kids. Alrighty, guys, so got the slide caps off and the choke plungers out. Chokes are all sitting there. We actually soaked them a little bit with some in-force penetrating oil before we tried to remove them.
Where's that BG?
Oh, and this is the stuff we use, guys, right here. It's pretty good stuff.
Very good, very good. I swear by it.
It does wonders, because I mean, I've seen it in action.
No, it's soaked in. My whole Jeep just did the suspension on it, and I soaked everything beforehand because I knew, hey, I'm gonna be in here.
Right.
I snapped one bolt on the shock, which I was gonna replace mine. I was very surprised.
It's pretty good.
You can actually watch it eat rust.
So what we're gonna do, guys, is we'll make sure we pay attention to which carb is which. On 3-cylinders, sometimes the jetting is different between the carbs, so you want to pay attention when you remove the carbs. Which one's PTO side, center cylinder, and mag side.
You want to mark it?
I'll probably put a mark on when you get it out. I'll go scribe it. Can't really find them good. Oh boy.
Oh, I can pretty easy.
Okay.
Actually. That Enforce worked in there already.
So like I said, these carburetor boots are kind of delicate. This thing's been sitting a long time, so they got all kinds of different vent hose line on here. Once we get these carburetors off, guys, we'll show you the inside of one of them and see how bad it is. I don't think it's going to be terrible, but I do think it's going to have some sort of nastiness.
Yeah.
It's just
they're going to be full of sap.
Yeah.
I think.
But we'll see. Chokes didn't snap, so I'm happy there. That's like half the battle, is not snapping off the choke plunger. So
Yeah, that moves really nice.
we'll let you guys know when we get all this stuff apart. Alrighty, guys. So we're moments away from revealing the inside of the float bowl on one of these triple carburetors. So we shall see what is in store. Well, it's just a little green, a little float stickage. I'll get that soaking in the gas right away. So I'm gonna go soak this in old gas. You can see the nasty amount of green stuff. The float is a little it's just the varnish stuck to float. And then we'll have to take the needle seats out.
Yeah, I know a guy that knows how to take them out.
I think you moved it.
I did.
Boys, that's exactly how you get those suckers out, without snapping those float ears off.
Yeah, because it doesn't put pressure.
And you take a look and you can see the witness mark of how it went on. This is the third carburetor. We did 2 already. The one was really, really bad. One was clean, and this is the other dirty one I was going to show you guys. So this is the float. Basically, it's stuck up because there's varnish in between the float ears and the float tab, I guess you call it, the actual float assembly here. So what we do is we pull that pin out and we make sure we get this nice and clean, and the bore where the pin goes through, make sure that's clean. The bowl wasn't the worst. The worst part was, I think, is this screw. No?
This one with the...
Right here. Look at that, guys. Somebody like tried to cut a flathead in it. So we did the old Indian secret and the vice grip on it. So we'll replace that when we go back together. So we're getting at that little side cutters, and we just... Yeah. Oh,
there she is.
I think you got her. Careful. And there you have it, folks. So that's how you get those pins out, relatively worry-free.
Yeah.
Then we take our little clip mechanism off. Yep. Oh, you did good on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
So his hands, he has no nails. Oh!
I ripped the
mangled.
whole corner off. It's raw.
Sick.
Yep.
All right, now we go take it and we soak it in more gas once the jets are out.
Yeah. Take that guy out.
Got to clean our main jet and our pilot jet.
This one's as nasty as the first one.
And we'll pound the tube out. Oh. Take the back side of that. Oh.
Oh, there she is.
So you can see he just takes it and he just, boom, pops it out.
Out the bottom.
This is the same procedure on pretty much all Makunis, guys. Take our air screw out. Gotta do the old flipperoo.
On our SK. Oh, carburetor.
We always go in a little bit or tight to see how many turns out.
Half. And it's gonna be one. They're all at one.
That's at one turn, and that's where we set them.
Yep.
One turn's pretty typical, guys, between 1 and 1.5.
At least we're all at one.
Yep. The first one we did was definitely the worst out of the 3.
Yeah.
This one's second worst.
Second one wasn't bad.
The spring's just chilling in there.
Yeah. Before that goes messing up. There
There she goes.
Go a little.
So we just gotta get the pilot jet out, I think, yet?
Yep.
Pilot jet's right here next to the main tube. We get a nice screwdriver that fits it, and oh, you can just hear the...
Hear that. Satisfactory.
Yep. And once it's loose, I usually just dump it back out. I'm always on a... You always want to have a tray or a nice rag that you can easily see parts.
And not near a dirt or a hole or something in
Exactly.
concrete where it might go missing like you guys know.
So now we can take that whole carb body and throw it back in our old gas mixture that we have in a drain pan. And that kind of softens up the scuzz on it. And just like I said, gas is a good cleaner because these carbs are meant to run with gas in them. So it's not going to hurt it. And it cleans the exterior of the carburetors really good before you have to open them.
Yeah, I mean, these already look...
They look like new
really
again.
Good.
Unless you have an ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, if you don't have one, old gas or partially old gas definitely works good. What are we running for pilot jet? 40 pilots. You guys can't see, but that's what the pilot jet looks like. Should be a Q2 tube, which the number is right in the center, the letter number. So I'll make sure the jets and everything are clean that way. The main jet is... Oh, you're working on it. I don't think the number's even... Like, they were so pitted, guys, that you couldn't even tell the number.
No, they're pretty nice. See?
Oh.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that. It's unknown.
It's full of schmoo, too.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we gotta get our float arm cleaned up. And then put everything back together. So that's how you disassemble one of these Mikuni round slides. That's the same on pretty much all of the round slide style carburetors. Disassemble them like that. You clean everything out, all the passageways. You put it all back in that same orientation and order, and you shouldn't have any issues with runnability. Obviously, if you're doing this for someone other than yourself, you could always put a rebuild kit in for the needle and seat. It's always good to have that just so you don't have fuel leakage in the future. And new gaskets for the bowl are always helpful, but in our case, we don't even know if this sled's gonna like be any good. So
turn the track.
So we're just kind of taking a gamble, and we're going a thorough cleaning, but not 100% rebuild. So that's the difference there. If you're rebuilding them, you're putting in new components. Cleaning them, you're just cleaning obviously what's in there. So we'll see when we get this thing all put back together. When we're going back on with the carbs, we'll show you how to check the sync of the carbs. Alrighty guys, so I'm gonna just show a little bit on carb sync and what you would do if your carbs were out of sync. And just checking them, it's always a good practice to check it every time you take carbs on and off, especially on anything with obviously 2 or more carburetors. So here you can see I'm gently touching the throttle, and you can see all 3 slides are coming up at about the same time. And that's what carb synchronization is having all the carburetors open up. Oh, they look new, huh? Just having Mark take the plugs out. We're going to do a compression test here. I'll try to get 1 cylinder on camera for you guys. But if your carburetors were out of sync, what you want to do is start by taking the idle screws and backing them all the way out so that they're not touching the slide and lifting the slide. And then you actually adjust with the throttle cable adjuster, which is up over there. And you'd get, have one as a baseline, and then you'd match the other ones to that. And then you set the idle so that the slide opening is the same height on every carb. And some guys do it with a drill bit. They stick a drill bit in there and rest the slide on it, and then they set all the carbs that way. Everybody has their own technique, but this is what it should look like all said and done. So something to check when you're doing carb cleaning, carb service on any of these twin or 3-cylinder sled engines. We went ahead and put new fuel lines on. Carburetor's all clean. Just gonna do a compression test. We did a little shop vac area to the tank. Put a new pickup line in the tank. That was all rotted off. Cleaned the tank. All should be good there. And then we're just, like I said, hooking up the compression tester. Hopefully this doesn't rub through the coolant line. And basically what we'll do is we'll kill switches off. We put the throttle wide open and we yank it over. Yep, I see fuel coming in the lines. We're just pressurizing the fuel system, guys. We're moments away from firing up this greasy old pig after she's been dormant for a few years. You're good, buddy. She'll draw up fuel. So we shall see if our carb clean works. Everything else looks all right. Put the skis back straight in case something happens. I'll be on the kill switch. I'm going to have Mark Mark will probably start it. And I will just hold the camera and watch from afar. So it doesn't look like it'll take off on us, I don't think. I'm going to move everything out of the way. We got her up on a track stand, guys. One of these old antique stands. And the track is just high.
Assuming the kill switch works?
Yeah. She's pumping. Oh! Take it off, go. We have no brakes. I'm talking a rape, dude! Brakes. Alright. Hold on, hold on. Wait. Oh, no. Watch see if the tack works. High and low. Tack works. I didn't know if the speedo worked. Speedo. Oh, she idles like new boys. I'm gonna eat on. That son of a bitch has got some balls. I don't even have words. Taking my excitement level right now to pull that throttle.
The roof.
Oh boy. Okay, you guys, he had me a little nervous when I was standing in front of it and he was doing 90 miles an hour on the track stand and has no brake line at all. Like there's no way of stopping it. So if it falls off the stand, it would have been flying across the yard.
It would have been gone.
It started in what, 4 pulls?
Yeah, it didn't take much.
And it runs, guys, it runs so freaking good.
Like the day it left the factory.
It has so much power, dude. You can just. We have okay, guys. We have an XLT. I swear, this thing sounds way meaner than that XLT.
It sounds nothing like the XLT.
Holy crap!
Good investment.
So yeah, guys, the compression was 100 psi across the boards. Yeah. I would expect that from a machine that's been sitting for a decade outside. I'm assuming it'll get better too as we run it.
Oh, now that it's actually wet and been ran, I'm sure.
We pre-mixed a little bit of extra oil.
95 the last time she was in Minnesota.
And we pre-mixed the gas a little bit, guys, with some oil.
Yeah, she's a little on the smoky side.
Just to be safe. You never know with these.
That is nuts.
Oh my God, guys!
Just the grasp on that big old honker.
Just take a little gander at that.
That is crazy.
Man, that's nuts, dude. This thing sounds so good.
To get some powder for this.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We almost died trying to pull this thing up to 90 miles an hour. I thought it was going to fall off the track stand for sure, guys.
You like that, buddy?
Hopefully we'll get a riding video when snow comes. Rip this thing around. Make sure you leave a comment down below what we paid for this, what you guys think we paid. I'll tell you, I'll give you a clue. It was very cheap.